Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. So for this week's video I'm doing like a two-part video. Today's video is going to be on how I create my flawless base, and then next week's video will be focusing fully on the eyes and how I create my eye look, I guess, and going into depth with that. But yeah, so today is just going to be my base and what works for me, my tips and tricks, and the products that I like to use. Obviously you may not agree with what I have to say. Like I said, it's what works for me and what I do. If you like to do things differently, then by all means go ahead, but yeah, this is just what I do and what works for me. So if you want to see how I created the perfect base, then keep on watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and let's get into it. So excuse the really gross lips right now. I literally had started my base and was up to the powder and bronzing and everything, and then I realized I hadn't turned on the mic, and because this is a video obviously where I have to talk through, I had to restart my makeup, so I just went and washed it all off, and now I'm about to go and redo it for you. Just starting off with the face, I'm taking my Simple Kind to Skin Hydrating Light Moisturizer. So I use this all the time before I start my foundation, just because it obviously moisturizes and gives you a lot of a can't talk. So I always use this before I start my foundation, just because it gives you a much smoother base, and I guess it's just easier to apply the foundation on. So yeah, I use this every day. Well, yeah, every day. And because this is a light moisturizer, it doesn't take ages to dry, and it's not like real thick one, so it's not going to make your foundation move. If it's, a lot of people worry about that it's going to make your foundation slide off, but honestly it doesn't. Just like seeps into your skin really quickly. But next for primer, so like I said in other videos, I never really bother with priming my face unless I'm actually going out somewhere. I find my makeup always stays on anyway, so I never really have to worry, but when I do prime, I find it obviously clogs my pores a little bit more, and so it sometimes causes me to break out, which is why I don't really do it often. But for today, I'm taking the Elizabeth Arden Flawless Start Priming Instant Perfecting Primer. Oh, wow. So this one is a pore filling primer. I also really love the Smashbox Photo Finish. Now with primer, you actually don't need that much. You only need a small amount. The more, if you add too much, then it'll become too slippery for your foundation, and it can often cause it to split and move. But I always just apply this in my T-zone, so around my nose especially, because that's where I get the most pores. And I like to really work it into those pores. So with foundation, of course, the first thing you really want to make sure is that it is your right colour. So I always test my foundation to my neck. I never colour match it to my face, because obviously I fake tan and my neck is always going to be darker than my face anyway, because I always wear foundation and my face pretty much gets no sun whatsoever. But yeah, always match it to your neck. So today I'm taking the Maybelline New York Superstay Makeup, and this is a 24-hour foundation. I'm just going to apply that. And today I'm using a beauty sponge to apply it, or to blend it out. I find it's a lot faster than using a brush, and it gives you a more flawless finish. And it's so much quicker, honestly. You save so much time. But obviously if you prefer using a brush, then use a brush. This is just my preference and what I find works for me. And with your foundation, you always want to blend it down your neck. Even if it's the right shade, you still want to blend it, because otherwise you will most likely end up with a mask. And that's like the one thing I hate seeing on people, is when they have masks. I always want to just go blend it out for them. So I'm just wiping off that foundation on my lips, and then I'm going in with the Too Faced Lip Injection Extreme. So I love using this because obviously it plumps up your lips without having to go and get lip injections, and it's obviously not permanent. It's not like a dramatic change, but it definitely plumps them a lot more. And it's so much easier when applying lipstick, because your lips are so moisturized and they're a little bit bigger or plumper. But yeah, I love this product. Moving on to concealing and highlighting the center of my face and underneath my eyes, I'm taking the Colourpop No Filter Concealer. So you always want to take a concealer that's a few shades lighter than your foundation, obviously, so it will highlight. And I find that this is the area that I need the most coverage, is the center of my face. So I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone by using this concealer. I really don't recommend using any thick concealers underneath the eyes, because obviously it'll crease a lot faster. I'm just taking my beauty sponge and just blending that out. You can see that is all nicely highlighted and concealed. So now I'm going to set the concealer, especially underneath my eyes, just before it creases. So there are 2 different ways you can do this. Today I'm going to be using the Chi Chi highlighting and contouring palette, and I'm just going to be taking a banana powder and I'm just going to set that with, set underneath my eyes with that. So this is a brightening powder because obviously it's yellow and that is a brightening colour. So I just apply that underneath my eyes, but if I am going like more glamorous or if I have more time, then I will bake, and obviously that makes a lot more of a difference than what this would be doing, but I'm not going anywhere so I can't be bothered. But when you're baking, you always, when you're baking, you want to use a loose powder. So the one that I usually use is the Rimmel Match Perfection loose powder. This is in transparent, so I just take a sponge or something that I can use to pack it on, and I'll pack it underneath my eyes, and I also apply it on the centre of my face as well, but I only do that if I'm going out, like I said, or if I'm going clubbing. And then I'll just leave it there for a few minutes, and then I'll go and do my eyebrows or something, and then I'll brush it off, and then it's really highlighted. I definitely prefer baking than the banana powder, but I'm only doing that for today. To be honest, I never actually even use banana powder, I just use my face powder. That's because I don't really have problems with my eyeshadow creasing or my concealer creasing, so yeah, if you do, then use that. I always use a powder, and I highly recommend always using a powder to set your face. Obviously if you don't and you go in straight with like a powder bronzer, powder contour, it's going to be so much harder to blend out because the foundation is still a little bit wet and sticky. So always set it, and then it's a lot easier to blend out. I love using the Rimmel Stay Matte foundation powder just because I prefer a matte finish, but obviously if you want like a dewy finish, then go for a dewy finishing powder. But I've gone and set my base. I'm just going to go and move on to my eyebrows. I'm going to do that off camera. I'm not going to show you in this video just because everyone fills in their eyebrows differently, and I personally don't put a lot of effort into my eyebrows, so I'm not going to bother showing you because I don't really care about them, but maybe in like a future video I might. But yeah, so I'm just going to skip that. Okay, so I just went and filled in my brows. One thing I do always do, most things on your face you always want to set, but I'm just taking the Essence Make Me Brow, and this is a brow gel. This is brow fibers, and of course if you set your eyebrows, they're going to stay in place all day. And especially with the brow fibers in this one, I guess it just deepens them up a little bit and makes your eyebrows look a little bit thicker. Not that I really need to worry about that, but I still like this one anyway. Okay, so the next step is bronzer. So I'm using the Mickey Mineral Bronzer. Of course you want to bronze your face because your face is going to look really flat otherwise, especially after the foundation. And if you can see with my face right now, there's literally like no colour, I just look like a ghost. So by bronzing you're adding a lot more depth and warmth to your face. So I'm just going to bronze on my cheeks, well my cheekbones, but I'm taking a little bit higher. I do on my jawline, and I blend it down the neck, and then I also do on my temples. So next I'm just contouring, and obviously with contouring it chisels out your facial features, so always underneath the cheekbones, and I also like to contour my nose just to thin it a little bit. So I'm going back in with that Chi Chi palette. So usually I take these 2 shades here. So the first shade is, you always want to use a slightly grayer toned bronzer just because it adds more of a shadow to your face rather than using a warmed toned. But obviously you don't want to go too grey toned because as it'll look really muddy on your face. You just want to take a little bit and build it up because it's going to probably look like you got punched in the side of the face if you don't. And you literally just go and chisel out the cheekbones. So as you can see, it's added like quite a difference right there. It definitely slims your face a lot more as well. A lot of people tell me that the way they can tell me and my sister apart is from our face shapes, but if they actually realise it's just from the makeup and how, because obviously we do our makeup a lot differently and I obviously contour a lot. So like everyone always tells me I've got a slimmer face, but I'm pretty sure it's just because I contour. Also, this is the type of brush that I prefer to contour with. Obviously it's a lot easier, but if you don't have a brush like that, you can literally just take a normal brush and just take a bobby pin and put that through it, and it's literally just pretty much made you a brush like that, and you can just use that for your face. But when I'm contouring my nose, I take it down the sides, and then once I've done that, I'll use a banana powder, and I just put that through the center as well, just to clean up the edges a bit, and it makes it a bit more defined. So just for blush, obviously, to add a bit more colour back to the face, I'm taking my Colourpop Dundee Duo. I'm going to take the blush and the highlighter today. Usually I like change it up, but I'll use them both today. There's no real tip or trick to this. Obviously you just want to add it on the cheeks. With highlighters, I often actually like to just use my finger when I'm applying it, just because I find I have a little bit more control with it and it's not going to go everywhere. I'm not going to end up with a face full of glitter. But when I am using a brush and when I'm using a powder highlighter, usually I use a creamier one by Colourpop, the Flexitarian one, and Off Tropic. But this one is a powdery one. I really hate like chalky powdery highlighters, but this one's not too bad. It just is a little bit powdery, so I always spritz my brush, not too much, and this will just make it a bit more pigmented as well. So then when you apply it, it's a little bit easier. But I always prefer like a real sparkly highlighter. And I just apply that on my nose, down the bridge, on the cheekbones, and just above the eyebrow, and on my cupid's bow. Now I'm just going to set my base just so it gets rid of the powdery finish. This one's just the Revolution Pro Fix Setting Spray. And obviously with a setting spray, it's going to make your makeup last a lot longer. So sometimes I like to do this once I've done my base and then once I've done the eyes, but obviously I'm not up to the eyes yet. And that is going to be in the next video. But for now, this is pretty much just how I get my perfect base.